Hi there, my name is Aurora, and I have the channel Alchemy of Truth. And today, before I start, I'd like to first say if there's anything that's a little weird on this channel, I'm just busy streamlining it and making it a bit more understandable that it's actually called a channel called Alchemy of Truth. I think there was a problem with the URLs or something like that, but nonetheless. Today, so if there's anything that's a little odd, then please bear with me. It will be resolved as soon as possible. Today I'd like to discuss with you relationships with the soul, relationship with the spirit, and relationship with oneself. Now, I'm breaking it up into little parts so that one can understand it a little bit more, and then work with that information that is there for you to work to ascertain and then to put to practice. Now, at this moment there is a big thing about something that is called the event. Okay, and I've called it the event horizon. But to understand it more clearly, it is something to do with a spiritual change that you're going to be going through. Not that you're not going through it every day, but it's a more profound process. And it has something to do with the relationship that one has with oneself, that basically it radiates outward and then affects your immediate environment to return back to you. So in that process is why I would like to discuss with you how is your relationship with yourself. Now, people are experiencing all kinds of relationship issues right now, and it is something that is coming up quite seriously. Not that it's not been, but in this particular process things are actually coming up a lot more now for people to discuss and people to realize where they are. So for example, the relationships that people have with others, with themselves, with others in their life, say married people or partners or even work relationships. There's either one or the other, you or the other, that are experiencing some sort of shift. And I'm not saying everyone is going to go through this at all. I'm saying if it is something that you need to address, it will most certainly come up for you to actually address. The situation with regards to the relationship aspect, when you feel that your life has suddenly gotten to a point where you're thinking, oh my gosh, okay, I'm like in a completely different place now as where I was 20 years ago, or I don't want to be around this business or this situation anymore, I'm basically wanting to break away or move on. When you get to that point now, specifically in this process, in this time where we're going through, this is definitely something to take note of. And I would like to ask you to, before you run along and try and dig into your life and see where things are wrong or anything like that, don't do that for now. Just look at yourself. And when you look at yourself, you'll be able to see, why has this person moved away? First thing that people want to know is, what have I done wrong? Was I not good enough? Was I not worthy enough of this or that? Did I not do the right work? And so on. And time and again, it always comes back to how do you feel about yourself for you to be able to have experienced this particular situation affecting you. So the example is, let's say two people break up, okay? The relationship has come to an end. It doesn't matter how it happened, okay? But there are certain things that come up, and it's those things that you feel where you question yourself on that are the things that you doubt yourself in. It's those things where, so an example would be, was I not good enough in the relationship? Did I not give enough love? Okay? And the person accused you of, or said you didn't love me enough, or you didn't do what I wanted you to do for me, or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to go into the relationships as self. It's just as an example to explain something further. Okay, so it's a little bit of a parable to give you a bit of reflection. When you question yourself, did I not do enough? How do you feel about when you look at your life? What have you done? Have you done too much? Have you done so much that you've forgotten yourself? I would like for you to think in that direction, not in, but I never did enough. You always do enough, and never at the cost of yourself. Never bend over further unless there is a reason for it, unless there is a specific situation that you need to work on. It is all up to you. You are completely free in how you express your life, in how you've expressed certain things in what you've done, even though you feel you were not. You choose wherever and whenever, when the situation goes in that direction. Now, I said stop going in another, I said go towards the point where you start to think about yourself and be very honest with yourself. It's not very easy to be honest because, like I said, we don't like to look at ourselves and see ourselves as the devil in the closet, the skeleton, whatever. However you feel when you look at yourself, it's not easy to do that because first of all you're going to have to learn to like yourself first before you can even start to love yourself. And that problem has to do with a divided consciousness with regards to loving oneself and caring for oneself. Now, I need to bring it again into perspective and say too much of something becomes an out of balance process. To love yourself, but not at the cost of another or yourself, is the happy medium, to put it like that. Anything that requires you to emotionally break yourself down for another is an out of balance process. And by doing that, you're throwing yourself, you're giving more away of yourself, and you are then left with no energy at the end of a 20-year relationship, for example, where people have divorces because of that, and they're completely exhausted to the bone from trying to please the other person. Now, relationships are not about pleasing another either. And I'm not going to go into the actual relationships thing, as I've said. I'm just highlighting certain aspects that are relevant to where we are right now with regards to how our relationship is with ourselves. How do you feel about yourself? How you feel about yourself reflects outward around you and is played towards you. It comes towards you. So, as I'm saying, it has a lot to do with what you feel about things manifests. It has a lot to do with that. And how is it possible to manifest things so immediately, so quickly, so like that? Is because it always has to do with the matters of the heart. If you're feeling that you're depressed, you're scared, you're feeling under threat, you're angry, you're feeling suicidal, you're wherever, you're feeling lost, how do you feel here? How do you feel there? Do you feel anxiety when you think about these things? Do you feel lividly angry that your heart is beating in many pulses? Does your heart feel sore? That is where most of these things can be managed. If you take note of the processes of your heart, if you take note of the aspects of how you feel, then all other external elements, such as a psychopathic artificial intelligence or an archon or a demon or a whatever the case may be, entity, if you have control over your heart meaning not the physical pump station, I need to bring this very clearly to you. When I'm talking about heart energy, I'm saying the sense of the core of feeling. The physical heart creates a field, generates a field. When it's pumping and it's got a sound to it, there's a rhythmic sound to it, and it generates a field of electricity. Okay? The soul, it connects to the soul, and the soul and the spirit is what keeps it going, literally. So it's like you would look at a little, I'm going to give you an example. When you look at your heart, what its function is, I'm giving a diagrammatical an example of what it looks like. So here's your heart, and it's pumping, and it's sending out waves. Okay, the soul is around it. Okay, and in the spirit is above it. This is just an example. Okay, a diagram sketch to show you that you're actually completely unique. So that would be the heart. Okay, for example, that's the field it generates as it's pumping. Okay, and again, I'm simplifying this. This is not according to any particular scientific journal or any languaging or any particular metaphysical chatter or anything or anything like that. Okay, so this field of electricity goes out. There's your soul around it. Okay, like an egg, like a yellow of an egg and the yolk and all of that. Okay, there's the spirit. Okay, because it's slightly above you, it's slightly in you and slightly above you. Okay, that is you. That is all of you. Okay, the heart, it's the energy, it's the battery that generates the field of electricity from the spirit and the soul. Okay, the heart generates a field of electricity that comes from the spirit, and the soul utilizes it. Okay, that's why everything comes from the heart. You're angry if your heart is divided, if you're feeling hurt, you generate that field of hurt and field of anger. Now, because there are external elements that like to drain energy, it affects, it uses, it sees exactly that field. And that is what it lives off. Okay, but that is a subject for another day. That is related to the Archontic program, which is also something that comes from what was, that is foreign, but has learned to imitate our frequency. So, we are frequency-based beings. We are also light, infinite light beings. And in such a way, our light can never ever die. And these external elements or parasites or mind parasites or even people feel this, and they're drawn and they stay, and they would do anything to make your heart move in a particular way that they feel that they would require from you. Okay? Now, how is your relationship with yourself? I'm bringing it in again. I'm reminding you, how is your relationship with yourself? How do you feel about yourself? Do you feel like you're just a loser? Nothing's going to happen in your life. You're angry. Do you feel, oh God, I actually can't help myself. I'm completely lost and lonely and whatever? Do you feel helpless? Because if you are feeling anything that is not harmonious, in other words, anything that is emotionally not positive, you can feel sad, but it's a positive sadness where it's creating or assisting in the process of learning how to learn to deal with grief, for example. You can go through that. As long as there is an exchange of energy to replace that which is low with something that is high. Science. Moving along. So, this is rather a very heavy subject today because it is important for you to learn how to work with yourself. Learn to work with who you are. That is who you are. You are based on a frequency level that is infinite consciousness, which is an exact microcosmic version of a greater macrocosmic version. You are the expression of creation. Okay? It is irrelevant who seeded what DNA codes. It is irrelevant what aliens and so on. You need to focus on yourself right now, not on anything else outside of you. And when I say focus on yourself right now, look at yourself in the mirror if you really need to. Look at yourself in the mirror and don't criticize, just look. Because I know we do that. Sometimes we don't even look at ourselves. And I want you to put your hand over your heart. Like I said, I've brought this before. Place both your hands over your heart energy, and I want you to feel the warmth of your hands over your heart area. Okay, and I'm not talking about the chakra either, because the chakra is a limited explanation of the field that is within you. Okay, because you are exactly an expression in the same way that the earth is experiencing a cleansing and an expression as well. So remember what I told you about the egg with the yellow and the yolk. Imagine yourself being something like that. Okay, just bigger, more complex, and the energy is from the heart, which comes from what you're seeing, and going through your heart and feeling what you're seeing, and then expressing it through the field of electrical frequency, and then that is generated by a higher part of you above the soul. The soul is in here, the spirit is there. Okay? And in the same way, the earth is exactly in that same process how it functions. The earth experiences itself through us. This is why this process that everybody's going towards, where we're all going through daily, is hard. It requires a lot of awareness in terms of how things work all the time. You can't just go flippantly and think, what are we gonna do? I'm in a nutshell, I can't deal with this. Can't do that. You cannot do that anymore. If you do that, then you have not wanted to try and help yourself at all. So, this is a very intense subject, as I said, and it requires you to perhaps listen to it again, or even ask a question, but it does require you to think about how you think and feel about yourself, okay? And how you need to start working on how you feel about yourself. The circumstances that you're in. Did you feel that perhaps you were in that circumstantial position or situation, that perhaps for a moment you doubted your existence of who you are? Granted, I'm not saying that to be attacked or abused is something that you have felt about, that you thought about wanting to experience or experiencing it, or that you might have gone through that process, but it does require you to work on that thought, thinking, do I feel like I actually just want to wipe myself off of the planet? That may then generate a field of, yes, let's wipe you out, let's beat you up, let's hurt you. Okay, it's rather a radical example, but I'm hoping that you'll sort of understand what I mean about things. There are also no accidents. However you feel in terms of what you feel towards yourself, this is why the mantras help. The mantras are the same, works on the same process as the heart. That's why it's developed in such a way so that the words are positive impulses. It is irrelevant whether we're putting ourselves into things when we use the words. I feel that it is important that it doesn't matter. This can be a weapon or this can be a tool. It's how you feel about it. Your choice depends on this. You choose how you feel. Yeah, I'm not going to use those words because those words are going to put me in some sort of spell. If you feel that way, then that's what's going to happen. Light frequency has to do with what you feel. This is beyond emotions. Okay, this is what you feel for who you are at this moment in time. Can you actually feel yourself? Have you been able to get to that point where you can feel yourself? And I'm not saying feel, I'm saying feel. Who are you? And not to try and correct it by thoughts in your mind why are you think you should be, or your name, or the title that you're carrying. Okay. Right now, as soon as you've listened to this, perhaps you may have to listen to it again just to understand. I've had to do this video a few times because it's such a serious subject. When you've reached that point where you can actually feel who you are, I'd say you've pretty much conquered maybe 60% of knowledge, of knowing who you are. And that doesn't mean anything to do with past lives or what you did in another solar system or a planetary system, off planet, on planet, different timelines. It's got nothing to do with that. I'm simplifying everything for you so that you could just take note of your heart. Start with your heart in the day. Know that what you feel about yourself and the situations around you, from what you're observing, you create by feeling that reaction to that thing that you're experiencing and thinking. And before you know it, you have manifested it, and it returns to you, because it is only for following the process of manifestation process, or the manifestation situation, or whatever. Do you follow what I'm saying? Be heartful as opposed to mindful what you feel. I think most of us are feeling there are two types of emotional frequencies or feelings that are actually very prominent on the planet, and it's got a lot to do with anger and with fear. And these are the most important frequency generators of existence that creates the most emotional frequency energy, because if you feel anger or afraid, your heart beats faster and your field gets stronger, and whatever it is that's outside of you feeds more. That's how that works. Calm yourself down. Be calm. Break away from the situation. Go somewhere. Focus on something else. Look at the flower. Look at a piece of grass. Look at the way it is structured. What you see is also connected to you. There is the AI interference and the archons and those things, okay? I would like to ask you to try and not focus on trying to understand it. Because when you try to understand it, it will try to understand you. It can. Okay? Because it is a parasitical frequency that is connected to the creative thoughts and the creational process that happens every day. Take a deep breath. And have a beautiful day. And rest well. And take it easy on yourself. Don't hurt yourself. You must love yourself. And comfort yourself. Because once you start to do that, others start to become aware of that around you, and they start to comfort themselves, and before you know it, everybody comforts each other, and you have a connected field of heart and spirit. Great spirit. Have a good one. Bye.